Well, hello, mi gente. ¿Cómo están? Ay, Dios mío. Welcome, everyone. Here we are in Entre Abuelitas, another episode, another very special show. And this one is very interesting, so you better stick around. It's about being young. It's about feeling young inside. And it's about acting young and being around those who are. And it's not about serums or fillers or Botox or that fountain of youth that we're all searching for. It does not exist. Get over it. Today is a very special day because in our show, I have invited for the very first time, and this will be our 25th episode of Entre Abuelitas. I have invited someone who is young. Now, why am I inviting a young person? Well, this young person will tell us how it is when your knees don't hurt, when your metabolism hasn't, betrayed you yet. But we have to remember that youth, it's not an age, it's an attitude. Our guest is someone who I have watched grow into an amazingly wonderful man. He's an artist, a magician, a father, and most than anything, he is a storyteller. He is my first young guest to be welcomed on Entre Abuelitas, and it is not because of his age. It is because of his heart, because he carries his grandma's love with him, and he carries his family, and he is part of mine. So today we are blending generations, we are blending stories, and we are going to have a little magic, literally. So today we are here in this beautiful episode. It's a soft reminder to all of us that none of us outruns time. We just learn to walk with it. This is Entre Abuelitas, and I am your host, Liliana Montenegro, tu abuelita favorita. Gracias por acompañarnos semana tras semana y hagan el favor de siempre decirles a todos sus amigos que nos acompañan. Thank you so much for being with us week after week. Thank you for the emails that keep coming. There's some questions that I don't know really how to answer. But bear with me. In this episode, we are going to talk about love, staying young, and remembering what it was and how it will be. But before we start, let's jump right into Lily Talk. In this week's episode, in this week's moment of Lily Talk, I want to tell you about something very touching that happened to me this week. I just came back from Arizona from witnessing my grandson's high school graduation. And I'm going to tell you, in that moment when he was walking down that stage, like he totally owned the entire stadium, well, my mind and my heart went back so many years to his very beginnings as a child, to 10 years ago, to even to that precise moment. And what was I looking at? Well, I was looking at him and his girlfriend. Two souls at the beginning of everything. And I wish them a life full of choices, wonderful choices that they will gather with courage, with kindness, and with love that only grows as they grow. And then also something very unexpected happened to me. And let me share with you how I handled it. As I walked into this graduation to see family I have not seen in a long time, to see my daughter whom I have not have a relationship in many years. Well, we said hello. She approached me and hugged me. In that moment, my heart, my spirit, my God accompanied me, and the only words that came out of my mouth were, "You have been such a wonderful mother. She has done such a beautiful job." In that moment, it felt like generations started a road of healing and light without major words, just presence. Whether this changes anything, honestly, I don't think so. But it is a moment in time, and I can carry it with me in my heart through my own healing process, as we all should. Just quietly keep on living and move on from the pain. So today, as we welcome my first young guest, well, I'm holding on to all of that: the past, the future, the youth at my table, and the truth that time touches all of us. And if we're lucky enough, well, it brings us back to one another. In today's show, we welcome someone who carries a whole universe within him. A singer with a voice that doesn't just hit notes, it hits hearts. A father whose love shows in every move that he makes in life. A successful actor who knows how to step into any story and make it truth and make it his own. A magician who brings wonder back into grown-ups' eyes, and above all, a very kind soul. He is my family, not by blood, but by something deeper, by spirit, by connection, and by the way that he shows up for me time and time again. I love him dearly. So please welcome to the Entre Abuelitas stage, one of the loves of my life, Mr. Joshua Triplett.
Thank you so much. That was beautiful. Just hearing all of that. Amazing. And thanks for the introduction. So glad to be
Oh,
here.
you deserve so much because you are such an accomplished young man. And I'll go into the young part. You are 39 years old.
Yes, yes. Which is so funny hearing young. I was like, yeah, I guess I am young. I guess I am.
For a show called Between Grandmas, you
Right.
are very young,
For
very
sure.
young. And you still carry that spirit with you. But let's just backtrack a little bit and tell us a little bit. Where is Joshua Triplett from, and what were your beginnings all about?
Yeah, so I'm from Youngstown, Ohio. It's a very, very small town on the east side of the state. We share the border with PA right there. The town was a steel mill town, heavy with religion and faith and things like that. Wasn't much to do other than Walmart and, Denny's. You know what I mean? That's what we did, Walmart and Denny's. But it was a great, humble beginning. Family, respect, love. It was the foundation of my beginning. So I'm very grateful for it.
What was your life with? Did you have grandparents that looked after you or that you looked up to?
Oh, absolutely. So my nana, and my granddaddy, they were very special to us. They were the matriarch and patriarch of the family. This was on my mother's side, and they were my grandfather was a pastor of his own church. He was
Hmm.
the judicial on the judicial board of the Church of God in Christ. And
Wow.
my grandmother, my nana, she was a first lady my whole life. So, just kind of having those values instilled, the greatness, the excellence. It was very powerful throughout that, especially coming from them. You always wanted to live up to that excellence and have them be proud of you. That's how I took it in. And they lived until about 93, 94 years old and recently passed away, but they were a big part of the family for sure.
Is there any particular something? You know how grandmothers, how we are, we just repeat something all the time that sticks with us. Is there something that you remember from your grandmother whose beautiful name was Aura Lee?
Or Lee Swan. Um, I remember so much. So my grandmother was blind my adult years. She wasn't born blind, but I thought she was blind her whole life. But I believe in her older years she became blind, and she was just always, it was a funny thing because I was like, Grandma, I swear you can see, Nana, you can see, because she was like, oh, I love your hair, or I love, that beautiful smile. Like she would always give compliments, and I'm like, how you can see, huh? So other thing is she was really good with her money. Like she would say, reach in my pocketbook and get me out some money to pay for this. And you pull out a 20. But I was like, how does she know that I'm giving her a 20 and not a 5 or a 100? Like she can feel it and she knew what her money was. So that was always a running joke. Like she can
Oh.
see what's going on here.
Well, grandmas have a heart that can see it all.
Yeah,
So if our
absolutely.
vision, I just found out I have cataracts and I'll have to have surgery. And I have been noticing how my vision has, been diminishing little
Yeah.
by little. It's like sometimes I'm like, ow, just close your eyes and open them again. It'll be clear.
You hope,
No,
right?
it doesn't work like that. But our heart tells us so much more. But tell me a little bit. What would you say, or what would your grandma orally say to Josh right now about your life? How would she
Oh,
feel?
she would say, "I'm so proud of you." Every little thing, anything, she would just be so proud along the way, and she was, I don't know how she did it, but she kept up with everything. She never forgot a birthday. She was just present even when she wasn't. So I think she would just say how proud she was.
Ah, so, what were Josh's dreams when he was young?
Um, I think at a very young age, I always wanted to be a performer. It definitely started in church, whether singing in
Uh-huh.
choir, then eventually singing in school. But I always just wanted to be on the stage and, if it was a cookout, I'd be the one performing. If there was a camera, I would be the one in front. So I just always loved it's not necessarily the attention, but the ability to transform people's experience. Like I have control of how you perceive the rest of everything else. I'm going to make you laugh. I'm going to make you smile. So I think that was always a thing. I would say it got serious in high school, about 10th grade. I saw my first Broadway show in New York, and I was like, oh, I get to sing, dance, and act. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. And I decided to take that seriously, and that was kind of the shift for me.
So, right after high school, you move on to New York.
I moved to New York. I go to a school for musical theater, where I studied Broadway. I did tap, ballet, jazz, all those things. Stayed there for a while, did some off Broadway, some tours and things like that. Um, just enjoyed the atmosphere of the big city. The Big Apple was just larger than life and hustle and bustle. It was very, very cool to be there during that time.
But you were also very brave because you were very young, and you had this full on ambition and dream. And you turned 18, and wham, you're gone. You're there. You're in New York,
I
and
was
you're
ready
doing
to
all.
go.
You
I
were
was
ready to
ready
go.
to
You were ready to leave Ohio. We
I
love
was
Ohio.
ready.
I've been there. One of my husbands, one of many, as you all know, was from Ohio, Oxford.
Okay, I remember you
Next
sharing
to the
that.
university, beautiful places, rivers, bridges. The bridges in Ohio are just amazing. That I
Yeah.
can say I remember it well. But you move quick. You get to New York. You are performing. You are living your dream. How does your love life begin?
It was fast. So I was in college.
Everything was fast with you, Josh.
It was fast. Um, I would say going to New York was definitely scary, but I think the excitement of the change and the possibility of being able to do something that was legit was very exciting. So it kind of overshadowed that. And when it comes to love, after college, I had a college sweetheart. We were together for about 3 years, and we had a mutual separation. She decided to move back to her home state, and it was tough because we were roommates, so it felt like a divorce. It felt
Mm,
like, we separate.
no
We had a
kidding.
dog. It was like, you take the dog,
Oh,
I
you
take the
had a.
TV.
Okay, that's
It was just,
funny.
it felt like that after 3 years
Yeah.
of living together in that city. But within months, I found my wife in Times Square as strangers. I saw her, approached her, and the rest is history. And it worked out. And I always think about, because we've been together, we're celebrating 17 years in August, which is insane.
Incredible.
But,
Incredible.
I always think about how that one decision kind of changed the trajectory of both of our lives. It's like, who would have
Absolutely.
thought we'd be here and having a home in LA and our careers and having kids together, and just like, if I didn't say anything, what would my life be? If she didn't go to Times Square at that time, what would her life be? So it's
You
really
know
interesting, the
what
perspective.
I always think is that as humans, we are capable of everything, but there's one person that gives us that nudge, that gut feeling that these are the things we must do, and that's him above. Without
100%.
him, we don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. We are no
Yep.
one.
And sometimes we don't know why. It's just kind of
Mhm.
being obedient.
Mhm.
Some of that faith,
Absolutely.
a lot of it is faith, and, we can see it sometimes in hindsight, like, "Oh, that's why," but,
Mhm.
That's happened a lot in my life of like, "Oh, that's why I'm so glad I was obedient," you know?
Absolutely, because there are moments that sometimes you don't know why you do them, but you really do. It is because he taught me. Because if I don't live his teachings, and I have detoured my life so many times and done so many things, and he's always been there for me. And I don't want to preach or make this into a
I get it.
religious show, but
Testify. Go ahead.
My God is always here with me.
Isn't
My
that
God,
amazing? Every
I
time.
love it dearly. So here we are. We are in New York, but things become a little stale for a minute.
Yeah, my career was doing well, but 2008, 2009 is kind of when the Great Recession happened there. And I was the manager of a huge art gallery. Life was good. I was making a lot of good money. Was a manager there. I was a manager of a magic company, which is so funny. So after college, I was just kind of looking around Times Square, which is ironically where I ended up meeting my wife, which is funny. Um,
Mhm,
but I was looking for a job and someone was like, "Hey, would you like to learn how to do magic?" So I learned one trick, learned three tricks, learned five tricks. Eventually, I became the manager of that company. So,
wow.
18 to 20 years old, I'm, doing very well financially. Everything's great.
Mhm.
And then everything stopped. Just like the economy is shutting down. I lost both jobs literally simultaneously. And my wife at the time, she just got robbed at gunpoint. She was a bank teller. She got robbed at gunpoint, and they fired her by saying that she might have been involved in some way, which is crazy.
Incredible. Can
Crazy.
we
So
name
she
the
lost her
bank
job.
so nobody goes there?
It was she's like, traumatized. She's
Of
fear of
course.
your life.
At gunpoint,
It's
definitely.
I had the note, the whole thing. But anyway, she lost her job. I lost both of mine at the same time. And at that moment, she was pregnant. We just found out she was pregnant. It was like, what do we
Oh,
do? So that was a big turning point for us because we had to decide, you know, as adults, it's like, listen, we kind of just started this relationship. Do we want to do this and are we going to do this and stay together forever? And my project Pursuit of Happiness kind of covers that story of our lives and stuff. And
and it can be watched on YouTube.
yes, you can watch it on my YouTube channel. It's called Pursuit of Happiness. 17 episodes. It's amazing music and it's like my diary on a screen. But yeah, it's just kind of going through that and understanding that we needed to relocate. And what better place than Slow, Ohio, where everything's cheap and affordable. And I had a little bit more support with family as well. My dad was there and my mom, everyone was there. So it was really good to have that.
Did you lose in that moment that this is happening and you've had all these wonderful dreams of how to succeed performing? Going back to Ohio, did it feel a bit defeating? Or did you have faith that you knew that God was making these moves for you?
At that time, I was very defeated. It felt like I failed. It felt like, when I
I'm
say
sorry,
failed,
at 22 years old.
yeah, at 22, it felt like that just because, I had stuff figured out. My jobs were great. I had money. I never needed to worry about anything. As a young black man in New York, doing that well was pretty rare. And then to kind of get hit with everything
Absolutely.
to where, I mean, our last utility bills as we're leaving, I barely could afford it. To move back to Ohio, the U-Haul and things like that, I could barely afford it. I mean, I feel like I was then asking family,
Oh.
and then I had to go and live with my dad when we went. It's like, "Hey, dad, here's my pregnant girlfriend." So it felt like you had everything going for you, and now everything is bad. You know what I mean? Um, but with that being said, my wife was so supportive and on board and so down, as we say. It's like she was just down with everything. She trusted me. She followed my lead, and she was willing to make the sacrifices, whatever that meant. So how do you feel defeated when you have a partner who is
Wow.
just like, "Hey, I
And not
believe
only
you."
that, it was the 3 of you going through this because your child, your baby was feeling all these changes, all these emotions. And
Yeah,
how proud I am you telling me this about Nori because she is, and up until today, she's just a beautiful woman. And I was telling her the other day, I don't know what you are doing in life right now, but I see this gorgeous light and aura around her
Thank
that
you.
I had not seen in a while. And she just looked so vibrant and beautiful. And to know
Yeah.
this beautiful story, yeah, well, you were not married yet?
No, we were not married, just boyfriend and girlfriend. She was pregnant at this time when we went and we ended up having the baby in Ohio. So, but yeah, not married yet. She was just kind of, again, just trusting the process. We were just kind
Absolutely.
of, leading with love. Of course, we were definitely intertwined there, but nothing was solidified. No, there was no paperwork. you know,
Was it in your
Lori,
mind that this was it? Was it in your mind? I mean, you are still
yeah,
22 years old, you're young. I mean, do you wanna get married? This is it? Is this the woman you wanna be with for the rest of your life?
yeah. That's a great question, and I cover that again in my series. But being young, being 22, it was very scary for me because in order for us to have we decided to have the baby. A lot of people don't like that we have a choice, but we do have a choice whether we go through it with it or not. We decided
Yes.
to go through with it because we decided we are going to be together for the rest of our lives. If
Oh,
we weren't going to be together for the rest of our lives, I definitely would have petitioned more for, hey, we can't do this
can't
right
do
now. But
this.
I'm
Mhm.
glad we did, and I'm glad we did decide to be together because that is the grown up thing to do at 22 years old. It's like
Of course, of
taking
course.
responsibility for your actions. And
And we will talk in a little bit about who this beautiful young lady, your numero uno daughter is. But right
yeah,
now, there is a point that I want to make, and that is you go back to Ohio and you mentioned this very important part of our story, which is your father.
yes,
Your father was a man's man.
a man's man.
Let us explain what that is. Tell us, what was your daddy like?
My dad was an incredible man, by the way. He was, so I'm the baby of 27 kids, and that's why he's a man's
Ah!
man. He's a man's man. Um, my mother had four, and my
What
dad
power!
one power. What power he must
I tell
no,
you.
um,
Excuse me, just a side note, a friend of mine was
yeah,
mentioning on the last show, she was, or one of the shows, she was saying, you know what it takes for you to be born? You know, one little sperm hunting all these little millions of eggs around there. And your daddy was like, boom, boom, boom.
planting seeds all over the place. But
Did
yeah, he
you
had
know,
23. He had
did you
23 of
know
us.
all of your siblings?
Majority, I would say for sure 13, 14 of them. One of them passed away before I can remember. It
Oh,
was
sorry.
I believe his oldest passed away, but a couple have passed away since then as well. But it's one of those things of just they all have a great report. It's like how do you have 23 kids and all of them speak so
Love you.
highly of you,
Yeah.
and say that you were there and
A side note
amazing.
question: what were the women thinking of him?
Oh, I mean, again, he was a ladies' man. He was a man's man. He was a ladies' man. It's so funny. I always, when I explained my dad, I was like, he was a pimp. He was just like, 3-piece suit, Cadillac,
Big
cane,
hat.
all of that. The church
Ooh.
shoes. That was my dad. And I got the version of him that was the wise old man, the loving, caring old man. So I hear the stories of him in those days, and I'm like, this guy, I can't believe it. But I definitely, by the time I was born and, of age, the version of him that I got was the gentle, loving, it was just, I
He
learned
had
so,
gone through enough to get there.
he went through so
Yeah.
much and he just pushed it
We
all to the,
change. We do
of course,
learn.
absolutely.
We live this long life of gifted experience that we just eventually we need to put it to practice. But in the process of you meeting all these siblings and returning to Ohio, you go back to your life, you feel a little defeated, life moves on, there's still hope in the horizon. Your father gets ill. What happens then?
Yeah, so I made a career for myself there in Ohio with music. It was nothing else I can really do in Ohio. So made a career there and things were going well. And I decided at about the 1 year mark that my wife and I would go to LA. So I remember this, it was kind of a crazy story, but New Year's Eve of 2011, my dad called me was like, "Hey, sorry, the house is mess, just make yourself at home." 'Cause we just ended our lease to go and stay with him for 1 week, only 1 week before we will move to LA. And that was the last call that last time I spoke to my dad. The next call I got was New Year's Day, and it was from my other brother saying that, my dad had a 50-50 chance to live, and, he was in a coma for about 21 days or so there, which was very tough. So we ended up staying in Ohio another year just because we exhausted all of our funds.
Of course.
But, that was just a different and hard time transition, and I had to kind of figure out how to pick myself up because although I'm the youngest of all the siblings, I would say in those years, I was probably the closest to my dad at that time, because I lived with him, from I would say 16 years old up until 18 when I moved out is where I lived with him. And people they look to me, the decision to pull the plug, the decision to, the big decisions, I would just say that. And I operated out of the best that I could.
Because you got to share your father's end of life at a moment where he was putting into practice everything that he had learned the right way.
Yes.
There's
Yeah.
nothing else we can do. We can be
Yeah.
real, we can be ourselves, hoping that people still love us at the very end after all the mistakes that we have made. But in that process, something wonderful happens because you and I become family. How did that happen?
Yes, that was a this is a fun story. So, out of all the siblings that my dad has, one of them is our mutual connection. My brother, I met him maybe around 16 for the first time over the phone. He was told my whole life that my dad was dead and, my dad was, didn't like him, didn't want him. So finally, in his adult years, he decided to look for my father and he found him. And their first encounter ever was over the phone. It was a phone call. So I kinda got to overhear that as a young teen. Fast forward, I met him at, the hospital when my dad was ill in the hospital during that time. And I got to meet his son and
My
who is
grandson who
who
just
is married
graduated
to
and
your
I was
daughter.
speaking. Yeah,
And
yeah.
Elijah, yes, he just graduated, he's grown up so fast, it's insane. Yeah, I met him when he was like, I was able to pick him up. He was probably 3 or 4 at that time, and now he's 18,
And yeah,
graduating, it's insane,
I
so
have that picture of you with him in Vegas.
yeah, and that was another thing, like, just seeing them randomly. I was just in Vegas in a casino and ran into my brother and Elijah as well, his son, randomly, so
Mhm.
it's so funny how that happens, but yeah, that's how we are connected, you
That's
know
how we are connected, but at the same time, you meet your brother, your father passes, you stay in Ohio for another year, but now that you've connected, he is your connection to now come to LA.
Isn't that crazy?
What?
Yes. So yeah, so in the hospital, I mentioned, just in talking, passing, I was like, "Hey, our plan is to go to LA." And he said, "Well, I live in LA." And I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I want to live in Hollywood and do this, find an apartment." He said, "I live in
Yes.
Hollywood, and I'm a property manager at the time." So we worked out a way for me to just stay with him for a month. I flew my wife and my daughter to New York while I went to LA. 30 days, I found a place, it was furnished, it was ready for them, and that was my reward, for them coming back, to LA, just having stuff ready. So I did it as quickly as I can, but literally 30 days is what it took for me to set up shop in LA, but
It seems to me like along your life's path, that's how you work. You set a time frame for you,
that
and if you don't go through by that date, it's a little bit chaotic in that mind of yours. I can just see it. I can see those wheels just turning. That's
yes,
exactly. What do you mean I'm not done? Talking to
yes,
yourself in the mirror.
100%. And,
Yes.
I've learned how to grow with that. I learned how to be okay with God's time. But at the same time, I learned that I also need to, not everything needs to be so polished or perfect before, being done.
Absolutely.
That's the season I'm in now. It's like complete, complete, complete. Polish later, complete, complete.
You
So,
know, there is perfection on that isn't.
yes,
That's
that's
that
deep.
raw, true, true, true. So, yeah,
Yeah.
You are a perfect individual. You're a perfect son of God. We all are perfect. It's just we have to use that perfection and accept it. But so what happens? Because now you are in Hollywood, you have an apartment, the family is here. What's happening with work? What's happening with your dreams?
Man, I was on vacation. Okay, this is LA. Okay, there's palm trees. It's 80 degrees. There is no work. And after a month, I was like, oh, I need to find some work. It's not gonna be forever. But what I did is I went to Hollywood Boulevard. It's something that I was actually doing before the family came. I would go to Hollywood Boulevard and I would perform magic. It's something that I learned in New York. And I would do street
Absolutely.
magic and I would get tips and make enough to pay the bills, which was very, very cool. And then my wife ended up working at a Victoria's Secret not far from where I was on Hollywood Boulevard. So sometimes I'll be out there at 11 p.m. My daughter's in a stroller and I'm doing magic tricks to strangers, getting money. And that's how we lived for at least a year in LA, which is really, really crazy to think about it that way. But, you
You
know,
were on the biggest stage of the world, the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
right in front of Jimmy Kimmel, right in front of the Hard Rock Cafe,
Now, Jimmy, why didn't you invite Joshua inside to do some
right?
magic? I mean, come
That would have been
on.
really cool.
What's the delay here? I'm his agent right now for that particular job.
One day. But
Now,
listen, fast forward though, I became business partners with Jimmy's son, and he and I we sold
oh,
a show together. So I just thinking about that
that's the
now, like
one.
that's funny.
That's the one you did quite a few years ago. What was it called?
We did Beef from Brentwood together and Black Coffee. Black Coffee's the one, and you were on
That
that
I was
actually.
in. I was
Yeah,
on. I was in
you're
Black
on there.
Coffee,
Yeah.
but I remember how the process was and how you were keeping busy and doing it all. And there were so many people so grateful for the job that you were giving us all. But so things start unfolding. What happened to that singing dream?
Oh man, so singing was actually what pushed me to LA, and I booked the very first thing I booked in LA was a MTV show called Copycats, and it was a singing competition.
Uh-huh.
And I got to the final round. I didn't win, but
Yeah.
it was very, very amazing, like the experience. And I think what I took away from it though is people being able to tune in online, or excuse me, on TV. And, no matter where they were able to turn their TV on and tune in to that episode that I was on. And I think
Mhm.
just seeing myself on national TV kind of sparked this fire in me of
It
like,
turned you on.
it's like be obedient, like just go with it. Stop blocking your blessings because I was so excited about music, but I always felt like there was a timeline, like to be a pop star, you got to do it young. But acting, I felt like I can be 60 and become an actor. It was no rush. But I think
Mhm.
God was kind of opening up those doors to say, hey, this is the path for you. This is the path. And as I look back, over my 13-year career here, I'm still able to do music as well, but acting pays the bills. So that's kind of the
And you
blessing. I
have
still
over
get to do it.
150 national commercials.
Over 150 national commercials. Yes.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you
Those
so
are
much.
some nice residual checks coming in. But I'm going to tell you, I've been doing this now for 30 years. I had a dream when I was a little girl, but I shelved it all and forgot all about it until 30 years ago. And
Wow.
at this point, I'm going to correct you on a little thing. No, you cannot be an actor at 60 or 70 because there are no jobs for actors 60 or 70 anymore.
We have to write
So
them, that's all.
gotta write him, gotta keep him going. But let's talk a little bit more. You are a father of two beautiful young ladies. What have those two young women taught you?
Oh, man, that's a great question. I think
Yes,
overall
even the dog wants to know.
you can hear my he said, "Don't forget about me."
I know.
We have 3 young ladies. Thank you.
Three young ladies. Okay, I'm sorry, baby.
It's a great question, by the way. I think it's, just patience and understanding of, emotional intelligence and just being able to be more emotional in that way, just listening even if it doesn't apply to you, or um learning how to love in different stages. That's a big one that I'm learning. I have a teenager, so just kind of going through what that feels like. And my 8-year-old, I still get to tickle her and do jump rope and kiss her and But my teenager, the love is different. So it's just kind of learning how to love along the way. And it's the same love, but it looks different and how you deliver it is different, but I'm trying my best to navigate that, but I'm still learning. I'm still learning along the way.
As you are navigating and learning, what kind of world do you hope that they grow up in, they live in?
You said what kind of world?
Yeah.
Much better than this, please, Lord. Like this. It's
You
kind of
know, yeah.
crazy. It's I'm sorry to cut you off. It's some of my friends who are just now having kids or have that option, a lot of them are opting out because the world is so dark right now. And they're like, I don't want to bring in a kid in this world. So I don't know. I'm just hoping that it's different, more forgiving and a little bit more hands-on. I feel like everything is like so disconnected. So hopefully a little bit better than what we have now.
Um, I'm gonna share a couple things with you. The first of all, I heard something at Elijah's graduation. There was one of the, I don't know if it was the valedictorian or the class president, but they said something in regards to the world that we are leaving them behind.
Mm,
And he said, everybody keeps telling us that the world is in bad shape, that everything is bad, that we cannot handle it. What are we going to do with it? We can handle it. We are going to do it because we are ambitious, because we know what is good for us. We are moving in that direction. So please do not believe it. We are going to take care of this world. And that gave me, as a 70-year-old woman, hope for them.
wow.
There are younger people than even you saying these things.
Hmm.
And that takes some maturity that I have never heard of on an 18-year-old before. So
Yeah.
kudos to Gilbert High, to the class president, to the valedictorian, to everyone who spoke. I have never seen a more organized, more beautiful and well-spoken tribute to their own lives, to their teachers, and to their future than I did hearing it from all the Gilbert High students in Gilbert, Arizona. So kudos to you and have a wonderful, wonderful life. But as we leave this world, they will be taking care of you. How do you see Joshua once they are those women who are going to be married and going to have babies? How do you see yourself?
Man, I'm gonna be, a grandpa that's in shape and healthy and funny and present and all those things. And this is where I kind of take the pivot. Like we mentioned, I'm 39, and my goal was by 40 to just kind of be in shape and just have my routine by 40 and be able to kind of carry that throughout. It's easier to stay and maintain as opposed to be older and try to get it later. And I
Mhm.
see a lot of people in their older age who are struggling with health and things like that. The one of the biggest things is fitness or diet or those type of things. Me seeing my mother suffer with heart failure and all these other things, it's like I'm trying to just, mom, your diet, don't drink that, don't eat that, and it's just so hard because it's a habit now. It's almost like an addictive nature to those things. So I'm like, if I can start now and have that be my norm, I'll be a little bit further along. But to answer your question, I've set up quite a bit for them, so it should be easier transition. But I'm hoping that they're there to take care of us as well along the way. We're good to you, so be good to us. You know what I mean?
That depends on your relationship.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely.
I've talked on this show. I talk about it every week, over and over. The only week I haven't spoken about it is this week. And mom, is okay to everybody and all my caregivers out there. Keep on pushing. But we can force our children. We have to teach them from the moment that they're young. And I'm sorry, I know you had a long day and you're very tired, but we're gonna finish
You're
this in
good.
just a moment. Tell me the one thing, what is the hardest truth that acting has taught you?
Wow. Man, I feel like I can go so many different ways with this. I think the most important truth is, as actors, it is our job to portray life, all walks of life, whatever that means. When I was younger, there were certain roles that I wasn't willing to take or certain things that I wasn't willing to do. And that perspective changed a bit because it's my job to portray real life. So if I have the opportunity and the ability to do that, um, I think it's my duty to do so. So I think it's our job to portray that and bring that to the world and, bring other stories, just bring it to the masses and really control people's experiences of how they view life and how they view the world and all those things. We really have that at our disposal.
There is one thing that I notice about you day in and day out. You're a very kind human being. I see it with the people around you. I see how they treat you. I see how you treat them. It's a godly thing to have. So, how do you stay soft in a world that tries to harden you every day?
Wow, that is, first of all, thank you. That is an amazing question. And
Thank you.
I think that is the purpose. I've discovered this. I have so many callings: music, acting, magic, all these different
Hmm.
callings. But I finally discovered the purpose recently, and the purpose is to shine my light. It is to bring
Hmm.
others closer to Him. It is, my accolades, my awards, the compliments. It's not me; it's God. And I pray every night that others see God in me. And for you to just say that, excuse me, it makes me very proud because it's my nature. You know what I mean? This is why I'm here. And I think to be soft in this dark world is to kind of lead by example,
Hmm.
to be a living testimony and to lead with love, which I think is another reason why I feel like this world is so dark right now. It's a lot, everything's so selfish. Everything is very ego driven. Everything is, greed and what are you gonna do for me as opposed to love that neighbor, give back, all those things, and I try to lead with that, and I think that's my purpose.
It is very important that no matter what our age is, I mentioned it a little while ago. I've been doing this for almost 30 years. I haven't been as successful or lucky to have started young enough where I had other means of finding those that would help me along my path. However, the one thing that I do know is that there's a purpose, like you just said, on everything that we do. But what is the belief in your life that you feel like you've outgrown?
Hmm, wow,
Another good question?
so good, it's so good. And I feel like I've figured out a lot, so I'll give you one that was a big life-changing one for me. Um, just because it's good doesn't mean it's good for everyone. And
Mhm.
I was reading Will Smith's book, and something that I learned in it is the positive attributes that you have in the things that are great for you can still be a negative impact for other people's experience around you.
Oh, wow, yep.
And that to me was very tough because it's like I'm positive and I'm independent. And I do things on my own, but it's like imagine being independent, doing things on your own, and you have other people around you willing to help, but you don't delegate and you don't trust them enough to let them help, or you shut them out and you say, "I got this myself." So I'm just in the
Mhm.
process of learning how to navigate, more of a team player. I've been the Michael Jordan of my life the whole
How
time,
to
but it's just
delegate a little bit,
yeah, how to delegate and how to just make other
how to
people feel
trust.
valued and how to trust others. And,
Mhm.
even if it isn't the level that you're hoping for, that you feel like you can do, figure out how to get them to that level. Figure out how to pour into them. But yeah, but I think what's good for you is not always good for other people
And I'm
around
sorry about the Kleenex, but I
you.
keep crying of everything that you're saying. But, I love you dearly. If people wanna read about you, know about you, find you, write to you, do you have an email you wanna share, your YouTube, connection? Give us
Sure,
something.
yeah. My YouTube is Triplet Family Network. We're available there. We have tons of vlogs, behind the scenes, family moments, travel, a lot of just faith, fitness, and inspiration, motivation like that. I'm at JTrip Nation on all social media platforms. You can always find me there at JTRIP Nation. And I do have a new website. It's called Residual Actor, where I
Mhm.
created a 6-week program where I'm teaching people how to become commercial actors, like what we do. No experience needed, literally starting from zero and starting to audition for real professional jobs
Let
within
me
by
tell you, this year has been slow for me, but residuals are the best thing in Hollywood.
they help a lot.
They keep you going. They keep you going. But thank you so much for that, Joshua.
Sure.
As we end this program, because you're going to end up being the longest Entre Abuelitas show we've had yet. But if there is one thing, one little piece of your young heart, of your beliefs that you can share with the elderly, what is that?
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. I would just say thank you. I think the elderly kind of hold it all together. I do understand that whether it's, grandparents, they did their best as parents, and that we thank them for that. They've overcome so much in this world, all the ups and the downs and the politics and the world is just thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your love. Thank you for, holding us all together and being there. Thank you for just being the transitional piece for all of our lives. That's very important. If I can speak to my nan and my granddaddy directly, I just thank them for always having that foundation and leading by example. There was never a time to where I looked up and they weren't doing the right thing. So that kind of helped me um, in my viewpoint of being able to know that it's possible. So that is my
Everything
message to
is.
all the elderly.
And what about all the young dreamers that come to Hollywood and like that Pretty Woman opening? You are in Hollywood. What is your dream? What do you tell those young dreamers, the younger ones, even younger than you?
I would say, um, success is not, comparable to anyone else. It is your own journey. Everything happens for a reason. What God has for you is for you. Walk out on faith. And I think the more you understand that your success is just growth, are you doing better than you were yesterday? Are you doing better than you were 5 years ago? And if you look at it from that perspective, you'll always be in a positive mentality to move forward. There's going to be a lot of no's in this life.
Mhm.
And, you know, all
Whether
those
it's
no's,
Hollywood or not.
it's true. And it's not always for you. And sometimes those no's are protection. Those no's are to strengthen you, to make sure you're ready.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've ever experienced getting something that you weren't ready for, but I have. And, a no would have been beneficial for me. So again,
Mhm.
everything happens for a reason. And I wish the youth would know that their timing is their timing. You can't look left and right and compare and just like this is your journey. So enjoy
And
a lot,
And
be present.
you also speak from experience as you are leading the way for your firstborn daughter, Jaden Triplett, who
Yes.
is in the show iCarly, that is no longer recording, but it's on playing time and time and time again, and you can find
Yes.
her in there. So I mean, look at the Triplett family. They are moving forward with joy, with love, with God in their path. Joshua, thank you so much. Thank you for giving me your time,
Of
your
course.
light, your love, your truth, and your laughter. And another time, maybe you can do some magic tricks.
I would love to. Have me on anytime. I love what you're doing, and I think it's a great space. You have a lot to give the world and all your listeners. Hopefully, they're getting a lot of value from it.
I truly, truly pray so, and that it keeps on moving. And tell your friends too. You have a beautiful way of looking at the world, and you have reminded us that dreams grow stronger when we share them with our loved ones, with our family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it doesn't have to be blood to have family that loves you. So thank you so much, Josh, and I will see you again soon. And all right, mi gente, hasta acá llegamos. This is our show. And listen, before we leave, please let me leave you with this: familia. Whether we are born into it or we choose it along the way, it is the place where we learn to laugh, to trust, to get back up every time that we fall. It can be sometimes loud, it can be messy, but it's ours. This show reminded me that life gets a lot sweeter when you don't stop believing in the magic of it all. Believe in people, in timing, in second chances, and in new beginnings. So keep laughing, keep loving, and of course, keep dreaming. This is Entre Abuelitas with Joshua Triplett. I'm Liliana Montenegro. Los adoro. Until the next time, good night.